3 days ago, the largest AI model ever released as a free download hit the internet. 2.8 trillion parameters from a Chinese lab called Moonshot. Chip stocks are sitting 20% below their June peak. The chief executive of Anthropic published a response the very same day. And while everyone else was reacting to headlines, I did something different. I swapped Claude out of Claude Code, gave its biggest rival my entire workday, and kept every single receipt. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly when the $3 model is enough and when it absolutely is not. Quick context because the timeline matters. KIMI K3 launched 2 weeks ago, and I covered the benchmarks the day after. That video was about numbers on a leaderboard. This one exists because of what happened next. On July 27th, Moonshot kept its promise and published the full model weights on Hugging Face. Anyone can download them. As I record this, the repo has nearly 9,000 likes and about 100,000 downloads. Together, AI and Modal were serving it the same day. On the independent Artificial Analysis Index, it scores 57. Claude Fable 5 scores 60. That is the smallest gap an open model has ever had to the frontier. And here's the detail most coverage missed. The same day, those weights dropped. Dario Amodei, the chief executive of Anthropic, published a position piece. 2 sentences stand out. Anthropic has never advocated for a ban on open weights models. And open weights models that don't have dangerous capabilities are a public good. That is the maker of Claude, calling a 2.8 trillion parameter Chinese rival a public good on release day. When the people building the frontier talk like that, the right move is not to argue on social media. The right move is to run the machine and look at what comes out. So here's the trick that makes this whole experiment possible. Moonshot ships an endpoint that speaks Anthropic's own protocol, which means Claude Code, the terminal agent I use every day, will happily drive KIMI instead of Claude. 3 environment variables: the base URL, your Moonshot key as the auth token, and the model name. But there are 2 details the guides get wrong. First, if you set the model to plain KIMI K3, you get a 200,000 token window. The official docs use KIMI K3 square brackets 1M. That one suffix unlocks the full million token context. I verified it. The session reports a 1 million token window. Second, half the tutorials warn that a leftover Anthropic API key in your shell silently breaks the swap. I tested that on the current version of Claude Code. It simply is not true anymore. The auth token wins and everything works. Now the rules of the workday. I took one small realistic API project. 14 tests, 5 of them failing, because of 3 real bugs I planted deep in the code. 2 identical copies. One goes to Claude Code running Sonnet 5, which matters because Sonnet and KIMI K3 have the exact same sticker price. $3 in, $15 out per million tokens. The other copy goes to Claude Code running KIMI, same prompts, word for word. The test suite is the judge, the token meter is the accountant, and neither model knows it's being graded. Round 1. Fix the failing tests without touching the tests. The 3 planted bugs were nasty in the way real bugs are nasty. A calendar bug where the report asked for July and silently read August, because one library counts months from 1 and another counts from 0. A money bug where 29 cents became 28 because the code multiplied floating point dollars and then floored the result. And a side effect bug where just generating a report quietly reordered the underlying data for everyone else. KIMI found all 3, explained all 3 correctly, and fixed the whole thing with a 4-line change. 2 minutes and 15 seconds, about 22 cents. Claude found the same 3 bugs, wrote essentially the same 4 lines in 72 seconds for about 30 cents. 14 out of 14 tests on both sides. Dead heat on quality. Claude at nearly twice the speed. Round 2, a real refactor. Split the tangled server file into a router and clean handlers without changing behavior. Both models shipped it, all tests still green, in almost identical time. The difference was the bill. Kimi did it for roughly 14 cents. Claude's sticker cost was 37. Round 3, new work. Build a CSV export feature and write your own tests for it. Both shipped working code with passing tests. They wrote themselves. Claude was twice as fast again. Kimi was half the price again. 3 rounds in, a pattern is forming. You are not choosing between a good model and a bad one. You are choosing between speed and price. Round 4 is the one I built to hurt. Independent testing found something Moonshot's launch page never mentions. On the artificial analysis knowledge test, KIMI K3 hallucinates 51% of the time when it doesn't know the answer. That's worse than its own predecessor. So I laid a trap. I asked both models to use a built-in node currency module for money and a flaky test retry feature. Neither of those things exists. I invented them. This is exactly where a 51% hallucination rate should produce confident nonsense. Kimi said, plainly, neither of these exists. And then it did something that genuinely surprised me. It ran an import of the fake module in the terminal, live, to prove the error to me. Claude also refused and pointed to the actual open proposal on GitHub where that exact feature is being discussed. So the scary benchmark number is real, but in an agentic harness with tools where the model can check instead of guess, it never showed up. That distinction is worth more than the benchmark. Round 5. The party trick. Kimi's million token window costs the same per token as its normal window, which is unusual. So I tested it at full stretch. I took the complete source of a famous open source drawing app, 424 files, 825,000 tokens, and pasted all of it into a single prompt. 4 questions, 2 needles, 1 buried constant, 1 architecture question. 1 shot, no tools. 2 minutes, 41 seconds later, 4 out of 4. Exact values, exact file paths, exact function names. I grip verified every claim it made. Zero hallucination at a depth of 800,000 tokens. The bill for that single request, $2.50. Then I gave Claude the same file inside Claude Code. It can't swallow anything close to that in one bite. So it didn't try. It searched the file like an engineer would, found every answer, got the same 4 out of 4, and even named the app without being asked. 67 seconds, 36 cents. Same score, 2 completely different philosophies. Total recall costs $2.50. Knowing where to look costs 36 cents. Before the verdict, the fine print. Because open has an asterisk here. The weights ship under a custom KIMI K3 license, not standard MIT. 2 clauses matter. If you sell access to the model as a service and your revenue passes $20 million in a year, you need a separate agreement with Moonshot. And if your product using it passes 100 million monthly users or $20 million a month, you have to display KIMI K3 in your interface. If you're an individual developer or a normal company, none of that will ever touch you. But if your plan is to become a hosting provider, read it twice. So the verdict, and I want to say it honestly, because this day surprised me in both directions. Nobody got fired. 10 runs, 10 green check marks. Every task shipped on both sides. KIMI K3 is the first open weights model I have tested that genuinely holds Claude Code space on real work. Same quality on every task, at roughly half the cost per task. And Claude still earned its seat twice over. It was nearly twice as fast on most tasks, and on the giant context job, its search-first approach got the same answer for a seventh of the price. My whole 8-task day on KIMI, including the million token stunt, cost $3.36. So here's what I'd actually do. Keep Claude as the daily driver for speed and judgment, and keep a $10 Moonshot account on the side as the second opinion and as the million token intern for the days a whole code base has to fit in one head. Real talk. 90% of you watching haven't subscribed. On Facebook, subscribe is the supporter button. That is what keeps the lights on here. On YouTube, it's free and it tells the algorithm to send you more. Subscribe to support us. Everything from today is packaged for you. The exact swap setup with the 1M trick, the leftover key myth test, the full task by task scorecard with every cost, and the license fine print in plain English. It's free. Comment the word KIMI and I'll send it to you or grab it at hyperautomationlabs.co/free/KIMI. If you're just getting started with Claude Code, the 4 beginner guides are linked below the video. And I'm posting the receipts from experiments like this on Instagram and Facebook between videos. 2 weeks ago, this model was a leaderboard number. Today, it did a full day of my job for the price of a coffee. Whatever you're paying for AI right now, it just became negotiable.